Farfus and Alan Menu side by side on the front row of the grid, heading out into the sunshine at Clearways. Farfus, the pole man in the BMW, controlling the pace, and it's very slow indeed. Now, these two had a collision last year during the safety car period at about this point, but there should be no such problems here. Looks like Alex Zanardi is back on the fourth row of the grid. He is indeed. We're getting ready to go green. Soon as the lights go green, the race is underway, and away they go. Good start by Augusto Farfus. He just had a little rolling edge, but Alan Menu has pulled alongside as to get into the braking area for Paddock Hill Bend. Into third place has gone Rob Huff ahead of Andy Prio. Prio's BMW looking in danger of being eased out by Jürg Muller down the inside. Pierre-Yves Cortals as they all race side by side, and Menu and Farfus drift wide. Huff leads, and it's going to be Prio in second place, and Menu's on the grass. He's down to 5th, 6th, 7th. That's the BMW off. That is Farfus into the barriers, and Farfus very heavy impact front and rear with the barriers on the way down the hill, and it is now Rob Huff that leads from Jürg Muller. Andy Prio in third. Here comes Ivan Muller in the Seat as they turn through Surtees and head out into the country. Contact between the two of them. Someone smoking heavily behind.
Menu's smoking. He's got damage in that contact with Farfus there up at Druids.
And look at Ivan Muller just pull alongside Andy Prio. Prio's got the inside line as to get to Hawthorne, and it'll be a brave man that sits on the outside, and Ivan can't quite hold the line. Thompson's moving up a little bit in 12th place ahead of Robert Dahlgren, who didn't get away well, but Ivan Muller makes the move now and gets in front of Andy Prio, and further back Menu fit to kill, I should think, with that disappointment.
Yeah, well, that's always the problem up at Druids. It's such a tight corner, everyone bunches up, the guys in front brake hard, and everyone else dunk, 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 and the chances, I would bet money on someone tapping Alain up the back, and then that would be where the contact came about. Alain's gone around Druids a million times. He knows how to do it.
So Rob Huff leads at the end of the first lap, and he's pulling away from Jürg Muller's BMW in the Chevrolet. Across the line they come. Third place and a long way back in third. Ivan Muller shows how hard he had to work to get ahead of Andy Prio. They are third and fourth as everybody streams into Paddock Hill Bend. But it's the lead pair going away, and Andy Prio already working to try and get back in front of Ivan Muller. He had a really good run through Paddock Hill Bend. We're looking at Alan Menu attacking Prio.
One of the biggest winners here so far is Gabriele Tarquini. He's gone up from 18th to 11th in the first lap, which is an absolutely blinding result.
Yeah, Janae 9th, Montero 10th, and Tarquini 11th, the three Seats further back from this group, which is battling for third place.
This car of Ivan Muller's is slowing down the train behind him, and unfortunately, that's going to let Huff and Jörg Muller get away.
And that's Thiago Montero gone off, so that has given Tarquini another place.
You see the gap already opening out between Muller. He's bunching this lot up, and I would think a couple of minutes they're going to get a little bit frustrated and want to sort of get their way past him.
So this is the battle for third then, and in order from the yellow Seat of Ivan Muller, the white BMW of Andy Prio, then the blue Chevrolet is Alan Menu, third in that queue, then Alex Zanardi with the Italian colours. We ride with Alan Menu. You can see Prio's car riding the curbs in front of him, and this is the section where the Seat seems to struggle.
Yeah, they've been off the road on the right-hand side there more often than they've been on it over the weekend, and I think there's another car parked at the side of the road there. I don't know who that is.
Have a quick check on our timing screen and see who we've lost. We certainly lost Augusto Farfus, and that's as far as he got, I think. He must have rejoined down Graham Hill Bend, and so he's stuck out in the country, and that's very bad news because there's a very short period between race 1 and 2 where you can do any work on the cars, and his car will not get into the garage until then. With James Thompson drifting out wide at the exit of Paddock Hill Bend onto the concrete there. He's in 11th place chasing this group. There's Tarquini at the back of the train.
See, Rob Huff has just managed to put in sort of personal best and actual fastest laps of the race, and that's the benefit of, see, this Farfus is struggling with broken suspension.
Steering apparently.
Yeah, it's looking suspension or steering, yeah.
Definitely hanging off the car.
But he needs to get that car back, but unfortunately now, with a short time between it, unless they think they can repair that car quickly enough, he will then take a drop and go to the back of the grid.
Well, the deal now, the desperation to get it back is so they can spend the race working on it, because you can work on anything in the race in the pit lane. And here's what happened. Menu on the inside, contact between the two of them, then Menu was skidding and trying to control the slide, drifted back out into Farfus, and it's contact between Menu and Farfus that starts it.
That looked to me that Farfus tried to shut Alain out a bit there, and Alain really had nowhere to go at that point. It looked as though he was, and then it was a Chevrolet. That looked like Nick Larini that gave Farfus a tap.
Well, in the end, Farfus heavily into the barriers. He's now reached the Schnitzer team in the pit
Yeah,
lane.
that was Larini.
So the work will begin now, and we'll have to stop at the checkered flag. But it gives them, well, 10-15 minutes of grace where they can do whatever they want to the car to try and get it into race 2.
Huff, as I say, he's just doing fastest lap after fastest lap there. He's got clean air, he's got fresh air, there's no one close enough to tag him, to slow him down. He's not having to worry about looking in the mirrors. He's just got the pace and he's gone. He's currently fastest car on the track.
And there's the secret for Rob Huff, is that he doesn't have to worry about Jörg Müller. Everybody else behind from Ivan Müller backwards is worrying about the car in front and the car behind. And this long battle for third, where it's splitting into groups. You've got third, fourth, fifth there, with Alain Menu trailing a bit of bodywork behind Andy Prio. But Augusto Farfus, well, do you know, he might match Alain Menu for the man who's had a bit of shocking run of luck this year as well.
Yeah, I mean, he deserves, again, he's another one that should be further up in the championship than he is. He's definitely praying to the wrong god. He must be praying to the same one as Alain Menu.
Yeah. He's 10th in the championship, Menu only in 12th place, and not many points between them. Menu looking to make that better here in 5th place though, and both drivers will have gone to the grid hoping for a lot better than that. Little gap back to Zanardi there in 6th in the white BM, then Larini, then Coronel, the orange and yellow Seat, then the rest of the Seats follow behind him. Janae, Tarquini and Thompson ahead of Porchero and Dahlgren.
Well, Dahlgren, I think, is doing quite a good job with that Volvo C30. I mean, he's hanging in there. He's now 13th. Okay, he's dropped a few places, but he is amongst the best touring car drivers in the world, and he's got Swede Rickard Rydell behind him, so it might be difficult for Rickard to bump off a Swedish car. That might not do his credibility in Sweden an awful lot of good.
I'm not sure he'll worry too much about that. If he can put a move on the Volvo, he certainly will. And Dahlgren is leading the little queue behind this one, which has got the independence battle as well. Sergio Hernandez, Stefano Daste, Pierre-Yves Courtal and Christian Poulsen all together behind Dahlgren and Rydell. As we look again at the battle for third, this is Ivan Müller clinging tenaciously at the moment to a podium, and almost the whole of Graham Hill between second and third. Jörg Müller from Ivan Müller. That's a big gap opened up now.
And Rob Huff has done another fastest lap, so he's got this car well hooked up, and the difference is that there's no one pressuring him. He's 1.7 seconds ahead of Jörg Müller, and he's comfortable.
Rushing down Pilgrim's Drop, Rob Huff, the race leader, is already gone. Jörg Müller in second is gone. This is the battle for the other points places. There's James Thompson's red Honda just ahead of Felix Porchero's BMW, and there is the Volvo, Robert Dahlgren, the Swede, currently lying in 13th place, just ahead of Rickard Rydell's turbo diesel Seat. So you look at the two there, and actually that really shows you that the Volvo's given a very good account of itself, because we know that the pace of the Seat.
Well, the pace of the Seat, and the fact the Seats have tested the till they're blue in the face. They've got those cars very, very highly prepared. These guys from Sweden have done a great job with this little Volvo. They haven't done hardly any testing. I think with a bit more testing, that's definitely a front-running car.
Do you know what's really annoying for Rickard Rydell? Not that the Volvo is in front of him, but he is holding up the independent category lead battle. Hernandez and Daste there, the two Protein BMWs, trying to go through him on the inside, and Pierre-Yves Courtal is right there. So the top three independents being held up.
The problem here is that Dahlgren, if Dahlgren makes a mistake, Rickard will just be relentless, boom, he'll be straight through. The trouble is, they're all running so close together that if Dahlgren lets Rydell through, he could let the next three cars through as well.
In terms of points, Dahlgren wouldn't score any, so they don't have to worry about passing him to get points. But of course, if you pass him, then you can move on to the next car up the queue.
Yeah, but they're using this as a sort of a 14-lap test session, really, because that's really all they can do at the moment.
Oh, Thompson punted sideways by Porchero just as they went through Surtees. Now this is behind the lead group. Well, there's Menu's bumper flapping and finally dropping off in front of Prio. Nick Larini has to take action, and Porchero has gone by Thompson in the background. Could see the Honda behind the BMW. Porchero got inside him and sneaked by James Thompson on the exit of Surtees. And John Surtees, like a lot of the corners here, it needs just the tiniest little tap to unsettle the car, and suddenly you're in real danger. You've just got to try and save the car and save yourself.
Yeah, I mean, Surtees is probably, as you go round the last part of the Indy track, and you go off to the left and disappear out onto the Grand Prix track here, Surtees is one of the most, if not the most important corner on this track. You get it wrong, you have a slow run down the long straight. You get it right, you've got to make sure you're protecting on the guy behind you. So I think James just tried to protect a little bit too much.
Riding there for a moment with Alain Menu, and still very close to Andy Priaulx. There is Graham Priaulx, Andy's dad, over from Guernsey with the rest of the family to watch proceedings here at Brands Hatch, and I'm sure thoroughly enjoying the weather, as are the huge number of fans here as well. Really big crowd come out, and the weather certainly helps that.
Again, Huff is just continues to knock off fastest lap after fastest lap, and Muller here again is sort of holding up that train behind him. And I think some of these guys behind him could go significantly quicker if they could get past him. But the thing, this diesel Seat has got so much mid-range torque, it just pulls away. No matter how Andy tries, he's going to struggle to get past him here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to have to be something very brave under braking, because under acceleration the diesel just pulls out that gap again.
But you don't outbrake Ivan Muller very often. Ivan is the last of the late breakers, and I'll tell you what, if you outbrake Ivan, then you're having an accident.
Great shots from Andy Priaulx's bumper cam of Ivan just drifting the car there, John, allowing the rear to steer a little bit, keep the nose in towards the apex of the corner.
We're talking about a multiple ice racing champion here, so a little slide from the rear of the Seat means nothing to Alain. That's the way he drives it. He likes his cars to be set up pretty loose, so he won't be the slightest bit worried about that.
Absolutely not. And frustration for the queue behind, and for Menu a little bit of danger coming in the form of Alex Zanardi as well, who is closing relentlessly on this battle for third place. We're with Priaulx over the start-finish line. And
Dahlgren has done a good job, and he's shaken off Rickard Rydell, and he's right now on the bumper of James Thompson's Honda, which is a pretty fair account.
Oh, Priaulx showing his nose on the inside on the run up to Druids. Ivan Muller's not going to be caught by that though, but you could see the bumper cam there from Priaulx's car. I think there was probably just a little bit of pushing there through Druids.
And he's definitely lining him up for one little mistake.
Yes.
But Muller doesn't make too many mistakes. I think he's going to have to work him over on the tyre situation.
It is relentless pressure, and that's obviously going to be part of it as well, is whether Ivan can keep the tyres alive. We haven't had a racetrack this hot since they were in South and Central America.
You're just over halfway through the race, so I mean, the degradation in the tyres will start to creep in a few laps' time.
So let's see what Priaulx can do. Rob Huff still comfortably ahead of Jörg Muller. Now the gap has never been more than about a second and a half, but that's enough to be comfortable with as a driver.
Absolutely. You know, a second and a half could be miles of a difference. You just don't look in the mirror, you don't even think about it. The guy behind you, a second and a half, there's no way he can get it close enough to outbrake you. You make the mistake. It's only down to you to lose the race at that point. So Huffy's just got to keep focused, keep looking out, just forget everything else and listen for all the wee funny noises in the car.
Well, hopefully none of those until the end when we get the squeals of delight coming over the radio. But there's the next group behind. Thompson with Dahlgren right behind him. There's Thompson's Honda. Oh, it's looking a little bit uncomfortable as it turns into clearways. Dahlgren's car. Now, John, we were talking yesterday in qualifying about how much rear camber there is on that car, how much the tyres stick out at the bottom compared to the top.
Yeah, they've got about 8 degrees of rear camber on that Volvo, and it's the only way they can lose the rear grip on the car. And a front-wheel drive car, if you have too much rear grip, then you just lose all the front end of the car. In other words, when you turn into the corner, the car understeers. In other words, it just pushes on, and the more steering lock you put on, the worse the whole problem becomes. And they've got what looks like a ridiculous amount of rear camber on it, but that really comes from the fact that they haven't tested the thing. But James talked to me earlier on, and he said anyone that wants to pass me today is going to have to take some chances.
Battle for 12th place. James Thompson's Honda is leading that queue. It's Thompson, Dahlgren, Rydell, then the Indy battle. The two white and blue BMWs, Hernandez, Daste ahead of Kortal there. And Christian Poulsen not quite with them, but still in 4th place in the independent category. Franz Hensler is 5th, couple of cars further back behind the struggling Thiago Montero.
At the moment, Tom Coronel in 8th place is looking like reverse grid pole position man for race 2. petrol Seat, that could be a win. You just never know.
Well, that would be a while since we've had one of those, a win for a petrol Seat. Nick Larini is in 7th, Alex Zanardi in 6th. As we look at our race leader, Rob Huff, for the first time in a while. Jörg Muller there in 2nd, 1.62 behind. So they're lapping almost to the thousandths at the same sort of pace. But the gap not coming down at all. Huff's car is holding on. And this is the stopper in the bottle. Ivan Muller, Andy Prio again showing the nose. Forces Muller to counter to the inside. And that leaves Ivan a little slow off the corner, but of course downhill helps him, and that torque pulls the Seat just out of harm's reach.
You see, Andy's got the awkward position here as a driver. He knows Ivan, he's raced against him many times. You do not outbrake Ivan Muller normally. He has to wait till he makes a mistake, but then at this point, going out onto the track, you just see how much that Seat pulls. Little gap, not much, couple of car lengths, and that's just that mid-range torque of that thing.
And that's enough, John, to keep him out of Andy's reach under braking, because you can't really make up more than a car length or two in normal circumstances.
No, you can't. And I mean, everybody keeps arguing about this weight. Oh, with the Seats, we got too much weight. Well, actually, the comparable performance here between a Chevrolet, the BMW, the Seat, even the Volvo time that I'm looking at, they're all very comparable. The weight doesn't look as though it's a million miles away.
It is so close, and the cars have got very different characteristics. Of course, the overriding characteristic of the turbo diesel Seat is this ability just to eke out a little gap on a straight. Give any length, you can just get out of harm's reach, and that makes them so hard to pass. But there are no easy passes in the World Touring Car Championship.
And not in this championship. You've got 20-odd really professional, hard drivers. They don't give an inch, they will not give one little bit. But I feel Andy's got this degree of frustration coming in now, and I think there might be the odd little tap here and there just to waken up. Dahlgren's
having a go at Thompson out of Paddock Hill Bend. He got alongside him around the outside as we watch Prio and Muller here out of the window. James Thompson has held on, but Dahlgren was absolutely alongside, and there he is.
And Rydell's got through.
Well, Dahlgren's gone off at Druids, trying to hang on in front of Rickard Rydell, and I wonder if we get a replay of that, whether or not there would have been contact between the two of them. Back to Ivan Muller in 3rd, Andy Prio in 4th, the blue Chevrolet of Alain Menu in 5th, and Alex Zanardi in 6th place, from which the chance of a race 2 win would not be out of the question for Zanardi either, because he'd have Larini and Coronel in front of him if nothing else changes from here on in.
Yeah, I'd like to see the replay of what happened up at Druids there. Dahlgren had already passed Tommel, so I'm not quite sure why he ended up in the gravel there, unless it all got a bit fraught.
Well, whether he was cleanly alongside or cleanly ahead or not remains to be seen. Looking at Andy Prio, I'm sure the stewards will want to have a quick look at that, as they will do the first lap incident at Druids.
I think that first lap incident at Druids was Farfus just trying to pull to the right, trying to shut the door on Menu, and really there just wasn't the space. Alain would have had to go in the grass.
There's the Prio family, wife Jo on the right. Now here's Dahlgren down the inside on the straight.
So on the start line here, Dahlgren was actually ahead.
But look at Paddock Hill Bend. Thompson cuts back to the inside, gets inside him. That's a good pass. Now that was what I was seeing out of the window. Dahlgren right behind. My money is in on him going up the inside on the grass. Let's look at the back of the car. No, not on the front.
Rydell tapped him.
I think he did. I was going to say, did we see the back of the car jump? We didn't, but he overshot there under braking. So
well, that's
whether he was helped off or just went off.
Well, it looked to me like Rickard Rydell had given him a tap up the back.
Chevy in the pit lane, and that is Nicola Larini out of 7th place. Larini out of 7th place with a tyre problem. And that is Gabriele Tarquini, the championship leader, off. Rob Huff
got a puncture.
With a puncture, left front corner, the same as Larini's car. Let's have a look. This is at Hawthorne, and that is a left front puncture. And through Jörg Muller goes to lead the race. So Rob Huff's 100th touring car start. He said he would love nothing better than to win race 1 here. His 100th World Touring Car win. And up until half a lap ago, that looked like it was going to happen. Now, is Menu going to suffer a puncture as well? Are they going to tell him on the radio the other two have had a left front puncture?
Well, it's obviously, I think the ambient temperature here, the speed, the high speeds, this is a 100-mile-an-hour average track, 2.5 miles long, and it's obviously working these tyres really hard. Now the BMWs don't have the same problem. They're not putting the drive and the braking and the turning and everything through the one set of tyres, which is what the front-wheel drive cars are doing.
Now the real question for Andy Prio is, how much is this heat? How much is this abrasive track? All these high braking areas, all these high G corners. There's Rob's dad and mum, the family watching from the pit lane as he rejoins. How much is that going to affect the Seat's tyres? Now, if we've seen two Chevys with a puncture from where, surely Yvonne Muller's tyres must be starting to give up some grip at least.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a common denominator. There's two Chevrolets that have got punctures at the moment. It's no one else. Now, maybe it's a Chevrolet specific thing. Maybe they work their front tyres a little bit harder. But so far, none of the others seem to be dropping off. The lap times are very similar. So I wouldn't have thought that it's a tyre issue.
Prio family,
particularly across the board.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Prio family keeping everything crossed in the garage. You saw there, Andy now up to third, still with Yvonne Muller in front of him, and a lap to go after this. So we're on lap 12, we've completed 12, we're on lap 13 of 14, and if Prio's got anything, then he needs to be using it now. Huff back out on track, but what should have been a glorious win, very disappointing ending to the race for him.
The interesting thing here for me is Gabriele Tarquini has come up from, 18th on the grid. He's come up to 9th place. If he can get one more slot, he starts on the front row of the grid for the second race.
Yeah, that would be a real turnaround of his weekend for certain.
But he's not got long to do it, that's the problem.
So we've lost Larini and Huff from the race, we've lost Farfus from the race. Let's see what Andy Prio can manage on the last lap. Well, it's alongside at Druids, and that's his best opportunity yet, but Yvonne Muller just drifts out wide and the torque pulls him away. Prio couldn't get enough grip on the dirty outside part of the circuit, but John Cleland, he's not going to let this one go until he's passed the line for the final time.
No. Andy will keep nibbling away here, but as I said, Muller doesn't make very many mistakes, and a lot of other drivers would maybe have just given Ivan a slight tap on the rear quarter, because a front-wheel drive car, when it just gets a wee nudge, makes the back of the car very loose. The driver comes off it slightly and he's compromised his speed, and the car behind gets through. But Andy's playing this pretty clean, considering he's fairly desperate to get past.
Exactly right, but I think his mentality is that if you're going to win the World Championship, you want to know you won it, not that you just bashed everybody out of the way and were the last man standing.
I think he knows that the guy who's second in this championship, Muller, really the stewards would have him in at the end of the day and saying, hang on, what's going on here? So a nice clean race is what we've got.
Last corner, last lap. Jörg Muller finds the race has fallen into his lap. He would have been happy with second place, but now that's turned into his first win of the season. So for Jörg Muller, it's been a long winless streak, and in fact, he's only got 28 points this season. Second is Yvonne Muller, third Andy Prio. So two BMWs and a Seat on the podium. Fourth place, Alex Zanardi and Menus drop down the order. Tom Coronel is fifth. Where's Alan Menu gone? So it is going to be 8th place and pole for race 2 for 7th place for Gabriele Tarquini.
Yeah.
So Menu and
Menu went backwards there. Whatever happened.
Menu down to 8th, Janae to 9th place.
I mean,